And one of the reasons why we're really excited about this is, I don't know if you've noticed it, but there seems to be some gaps where people understand the terms, they've heard about this, but they really don't have a clarity and distinctions about what each of the terms means. And they also, more importantly, often don't know how to come up with them. What's the process for identifying with clarity the learning intentions and success criteria? So if you'll notice, the subtitle is how to bring clarity to student learning outcomes. I believe we have a clarity problem in our schools. And when I talk about that, when I'm talking about the fact is we really are not crystal clear about what we want our students to know and be able to do. The thing is that without clarity of learning goals that really provide a sharp focus for instruction, assessment design, and then using those results to inform next steps in instruction, we can't possibly achieve all these wonderful effect sizes that Dr. Hattie's talking about. We can't really see and reap a maximum impact on student learning because we aren't really sure about where we're beginning from. We need a solid foundation stone from which to work. But assessment-capable learners are kids who know where I'm going, how I'm going, and where am I going next. And one of the things about this is I'm going to try to make this point here is about clarity. Clarity, clarity, clarity. And the idea is clarity itself has a 0.75 effect size. Well, that's not bad. That's like almost 2 years of growth for students within 1 year. But I'd like to propose the idea that actually this is arguably the most important effect of all of them because its impact on all the other, because of its impact on all the other practices, it makes it of greater importance than maybe even the research shows. And I'll give you an example. So students who are able to articulate what their learning outcomes and test results might be are more likely to be successful than other learners. Would you agree? Okay, so the next thing is, that's why they get a 1.44. These are kids who can pretty much predict what their grades are going to be, how they're going to do, but what does that start with? They have to have clarity about what it is they're learning. And that's why even though teacher clarity in and of itself wouldn't seem like it's off the charts, it's still critically important for all these other effects. Another example, RTI, response to intervention, is in the top 5, but the idea, think about this, for kids to really have a plan, for teachers to have a plan that will really allow students to close their learning gaps, they have to have the clarity of what they're trying to do, right? Just one more, and there's so many more. Think about feedback. Meaningful feedback has an effect size of 0.75. If and when, but here's the catcher, if and when what? That feedback is directly related to clear learning outcomes. So this is why I'm saying that this could very well possibly be the most important effect because it makes all the other effects possible. It's very difficult to talk about learning intentions and feedback without what? Assessment. Like, how are we going to know if the kids are actually achieving these? So a lot of the benefits have to do with the fact that this will give us credible evidence of student learning. That's a huge benefit. The formative assessment piece, when it's matched to the learning intentions, that if it's a good assessment, if it's a well-written one, that will actually give us some really credible evidence of how the students are doing. So what I've been privileged to do is create a step-by-step process to bring that clarity. And I like to start it first with a single standard. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because if we can understand the process with around how to take one standard and create a learning intention and all the pieces that go with it, the success criteria and the progressions and so on, then guess what happens? People can then, on a follow-up, they can expand that. Okay, now I get it. Now let me bring in other standards that I would teach together in a unit of study. We could never have one unit all about one standard. It would be nice, but we never would get through. So I like to start small and build slowly. Let's understand how to do this with one standard, and then we'll move on to the second. This is the new Core 1 workshop, and on a day 1, people go through this with a single standard like you saw, and then on day 2, they can come back for a production day and spend the day creating more learning intentions, success criteria, and progressions. And then they can work also from multiple standards. So we're really excited to have a vehicle and a means for people now to really pull in and tighten up and clarify what the learning intentions are.